Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Banana Slam Jaren podcast. The podcast is what it says on
The
your screen here.
the one and
Nah,
only.
not a podcast, but the podcast. We are brought
The
to you guys by Prediction Esports. They're our partner. And I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor before we start. I usually do it at the end, but we're mixing it up today. We are sponsored by OKEX, which is your one-stop cryptocurrency platform powering play-to-earn games like Axie Infinity. You see that at the bottom. Play-to-earn games are games that allow you to earn NFTs in-game, and Axie Infinity is the most popular of these play-to-earn crypto games if you're into that sort of thing. And you can play it to earn NFTs that you can buy, sell, and trade on the marketplace. That is all powered by OKEX. Thank you for that enthusiasm, monkeys. We will be sending a link in chat that you can use to find how to start earning crypto today. That wasn't in the script. I mean, there was no script. I was totally saying that purely naturally. We will be linking that after the stream, guys. And it will be in the video description on YouTube. But okay.
Brian,
I've gotten the business out of the way, my friend. Do you have a question about the business, or is this about the podcast?
this is about you. Your camera's not on.
Oh, of course, my one job. Let me share my screen with my lovely friend here. There it is. He's always such a whiner. I mean, okay. Sorry, guys. So Monkeys wants to see my face so that he can interact with me in a normal way while I see his face.
Actually, like I don't know. It's just easier for me to understand what you're saying if I can, read your lips while you're talking, see your facial expressions, etc.
Of course.
I don't know why I struggle with this, but it's just so much easier for me to interact with people when I can actually see them. I don't know if that's a thing, but
okay, nobody asked you, monkeys. Okay, so we've got some hot topic here, guys. We've got some hot topics here. I want to summarize what we're doing today. First off, we are going to be talking about the major cancellation. We do talk about Valve and their role in Dota a decent amount, so we're not going to beat that too dead, as it tentatively is kind of dead in this stream or in this podcast. And we're also going to be talking about Reddit, because I have a nice hot topic. Did you happen to read my Reddit thread there, monkeys?
I read a bit of the Reddit.
It was a very, very based Reddit thread.
I didn't even understand. Whatever. Well,
we also have some base Reddit threads with Kyle, as well as Kelly, the manager of Alliance. And there's some nice drama going on right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, a major was just canceled. People need their fix of entertainment somehow in the Dota scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we have no patch, we have no major. This is basically the same thing as what happened with COVID, where literally our ability to be distracted is gone. So now we have all the time in the world to think about all these things that we don't normally dedicate time to. So, first and foremost, for people who are not aware, Valve has alerted us that the first major of the season will not be played.
Which is tragic.
Which a lot of people may say, well, BSJ and monkeys, that is not all that surprising due to the Omicron variant and all the outbreaks and that's happening in the world. And then a lot of people may think that that's a reasonable decision. And monkeys, I'd like to say that from my perspective, most people are complaining about the lack of transparency and communication from Valve, as pretty much none of the teams knew for sure or even knew at all that the major was going to be canceled until last week. And that's 6 weeks into the season of DPC. That is a very long time to be preparing for a major and have nothing happen. So people were very upset about that. There's a huge uproar, on Reddit, on Twitter. Sumail even mentioning, I'm done with this game. Let's all, not come back season 2 and, maybe Valve does something or maybe the game just dies.
Wait, wasn't he just saying just no one played the last your last matches or whatever?
No, he was boycotting season 2.
Was he actually boycotting?
Yeah. Let me pull it up. I'll read the tweet. This is factual shit here. Sumail Twitter. If the teams all decide to just not compete in season 2, at least we will have some sort of stable system. Either better communication or maybe Dota just dies completely. Either way, it's better than the current state of
Probably the
things.
second.
So, now, that's the thing, is people are kind of just fed up. You know, I think there's comparisons between like an abusive relationship of Valve and the Dota scene. I feel like a lot of times
I got fed up 2 years ago.
yeah, I mean, a lot of us get fed up at some point. I kind of hit my threshold at TI-10. And so, monkeys, you know, do you think all these pro players are a bunch of crybabies? Or do they have merit to what they're saying here?
I mean, you certainly know my take. No, I do not think they're being crybabies. I think.
There's nowhere in between. They're either crybabies or Valve's the worst. What is it?
I mean, I've been saying Valve's the worst for a while. I mean,
Okay.
like, and obviously, when I say that, I don't like. I don't know. I feel like I should more specifically say I just feel like Valve is like kind of lazy and they just don't actually care about Dota. And you know, like people have been telling me this for a lot of years while I've been playing Dota. Like probably since like TI 4 or something was when players like actually started wanting like, you know, better conditions, or maybe even earlier than that, honestly. But like I wasn't really that involved in the pro scene like in the very early TIs or whatever, so I'm not like as knowledgeable of what the pro players have always wanted. But from what I remember, around TI 4 was when people like started actually wanting like more from Valve and whatnot. And, you know, there definitely has been, like, times that Valve has done great things for the game, and it seems like we're going forward and Valve cares and whatnot. But, you know, I think it's just, like, the business model of Valve doesn't really have a lot of room for, like, how how a competitive game needs to be treated to, like, thrive and whatnot. 'Cause, you know, Valve just sits on Steam and makes, like, billions of dollars a year, and they're just like, yeah, we're chilling. Let's work on VR,
Okay.
guys. Right.
So, I actually had an interesting conversation today. And I'll tell you that up until that conversation, I had that exact same view. And in no way am
Okay.
I saying that that view is like, I'm like, that view is so naive, we're all so stupid. But it's given me a different perspective. So I want you to hear it and give. I'm gonna make sure I don't like verbatim it because you know it's not really my view. It's like something that was brought to my attention.
Yeah.
Is have you ever considered comparing Dota scene or the Dota community to Valve as like a parent and a kid, right?
True.
Have you ever thought about that, right?
I,
So
I, I mean,
like
I'm sure I have. It's not exactly
so,
like how I view like the dynamic, but
yeah,
yeah, you know,
but it's
yeah,
like you can follow me, right? How
yeah,
like
yeah,
in terms of power dynamic and reliance and all that
yeah.
kind of stuff, you know, Valve does make the rules. And I was basically told that have you ever thought about that? And have you ever thought about the fact that it's kind of what you would call an abusive relationship in the sense that when kids complain and when kids are really upset with their parents, what's like the most common theme? And I would say that the kids are not understood. Would you agree with that, or would you disagree with that? At least
Yeah, I mean,
can you
well, yeah. There's a disconnect for sure.
there's a
There,
disconnect, you know? And so, like, a lot of times, you know, you see these movies with, like, the rich family, because I'll compare this to, like, a rich family, because Valve's, like, billionaires and stuff,
yeah,
where you see in the movies where the kid's, like, having a rough time. He talks about how his parents are always off working and stuff. And the parents are like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear you're sad. Here's a Ferrari. And does that make the kid feel better? And the answer is no, right?
no.
Like, it never makes them feel better. And I used to think, as of yesterday, that Valve didn't care about the game. So my question would be, if you ignore the pro players and you are given the perspective that Valve as a spectator sport since DPC came out has increased viewership by like 50%. would you still consider DPC to be like a failure or a bad system?
I I don't I mean, look, that's something that I feel like more the higher tier pros are like they mainly don't like the DPC system because there's not enough room for third party tournaments and stuff like that, which I definitely agree with. I do agree that there is room for improvement. I do think the DPC system does give like minor stability to like, the lesser teams and literally the tier 1
I
teams
gave
that
you
are
one
going.
responsibility here, monkeys, and that was to completely ignore the pro players.
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm saying that if you
yeah,
thought of the
if
DPC,
if you look exactly or exclusively at the viewership, I suppose, like, yeah, it's good, but if you look at, like, player numbers and stuff, it's not the greatest.
so what I'm saying is this, is there are a lot of complaints going towards Valve. And the reason why I gave the analogy of the, rich parent and giving them the kid a Ferrari is because what if the parent thinks that that's what will make them happy? What if viewership and popularity of the game throughout the year is what Valve thinks will make the scene happy? What I'm getting at is I think the biggest issue is not that Valve doesn't care, it's that they don't know how to care and they don't ask.
Well,
They don't know how
yeah.
to show they care. They don't know how to
Well,
show they
yeah.
care about the game.
Well, again, it's like, well, all right, so the way that you really have to view the relationship between like the player or just like the community and Valve is like as we've pretty much learned over the past like four years, maybe even a bit longer, what we are rewarded for making like complaint threads that get to the top of Reddit, and that is the only way that Valve will react to something. Basically, they don't react to emails. They don't react to like any of the.
Yeah.
So so basically, what we as a community have started doing is just berating Valve publicly on like Reddit, and because that's the only way that we get a response out of them. And then Valve gets upset because they think that we're just like a bunch of whiners and like all we do is like complain about them, and then they don't want to work on Dota anymore because they think the community just like hates them. Which may be true to an extent or whatever, but like it's just kind of like we've kind of gotten ourselves into this like super annoying like cycle for both sides where Valve's like, guys, just like talk, like they even said to like teams at TI, they're like, guys, just talk to us, and like we'll talk to you, we can do all of this like behind the scenes or whatever, and then they just stopped responding again, and now we're back to posting on Reddit to make a big deal of things. And I guarantee you Valve is like upset about
the whole the whole root of this entire thing is that the reason why I brought up this discussion is up until today, I firmly believed Valve didn't care. And as of today, I was convinced that Valve does care, they just don't listen. And they have no idea how to listen.
no, yeah,
And they
no,
have
no,
not made the effort to listen. I
I
think
I,
they
I mean,
have a massive community that they do not understand. They do
I
not understand. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was personally amazed to even hear that there was like communication going on with Valve after the major cancellation and
When
everything.
people don't care, like, say you're in a relationship with somebody and they don't care, and you say something that's really annoying or you piss them off, they just break up with you.
Kind of, yeah.
So that alone to me, when that was brought to my attention, was kind of enough proof in the pudding to say, like, Valve clearly cares about Dota.
Yeah.
Like, the people at Valve love the game of Dota. Like, that clearly exists. Now, the amount of effort they're willing to put into that definitely has to be called into question.
Yeah.
And the biggest issue is that they don't have anybody that's like dedicated to Dota. Like, they don't have a person at Valve that says, my job is to be a community manager of Dota. And the thing that boggles my mind up until this point is I'm not going to act like I understand all the inner workings of Valve. I don't, or of any big company, or what it takes to be an amazingly successful company. If there's anything I've learned in the last like 2 years is that every day I don't feel like I learn any, or I don't know anything, because I learned, the more you learn that you don't, or the more you know that you don't know. You know what I mean? Like you learn and then
Yes.
you realize
Yes.
you have so much more to learn.
Yes.
So, but is it really that detrimental to just hire like two people? Like,
Well, again,
what is actually so bad about this? Like, I actually just don't get it. People
there,
could give me all types of explanations, all types of BS that goes on with this. Can you
that,
not just hire two people?
that's that's the thing. It means nothing to Valve to hire two people and put them on their payroll. Like it is pennies to the dollar for Valve. It
I
actually
just don't
is.
get it.
But like, but they are such like a small company, and like they are so efficient with like their worker base that like they just don't want to complicate things for like they
It's
have a
so
good system
weird.
going right now where like they again from what I've heard, like from the two, I don't even know, I know like two people who work at Valve, and like everyone just wants to work on like VR, like the next like gaming content in like that area or what. Like no one is even focused on like PC gaming anymore at Valve. It's all like next gen, like everything they do. So I think it's just like for Valve, they just don't want to like complicate their business model with like more
I
people.
just
Like
don't understand
even
how
though
that's
it would
so complicated.
it's such a simple fix. I mean, it's because they're all like, none of them want to deal with people. Like, if they have community managers, then they have to actually talk to their community managers all the time and like be like, "All right, what's going on, community manager?" Then they need like people who actually implement the stuff the community managers want. So, it's not like it's not as simple as just get community managers and then oh, people are suddenly going to be motivated to fix the stuff that Dota players want fixed and stuff. Like there's a lot more work that goes like the extra step, right?
I mean, everything. All this sounds like to me is like it's like
Well,
procrastination or
well
like
then you're going to
laziness.
be like hire more people, but then it's like Valve are like, no, we don't want to hire more people.
No, so like if you hire two community managers and they need more people, wouldn't the conversation be as simple as like, we need three more people, we'll find them, you know? Like you hand that off. Like you don't see the CEO interviewing people at companies. Like
I mean, for them, it's just like,
this isn't that
uh,
much
uh,
extra work.
did you read the I don't know if it was like an article or just the woman telling like her version of like or like her side of the story or whatever of when she worked at Valve, and she literally like presented an idea to Valve, basically like with all this information, all of the steps were figured out of how to implement it, and the revenue was going to be like $250 million a year or something, and the people she pitched it to were just like, that's zero billions, and denied her the project. Like that is how Valve thinks
That is zero
about
billions.
things.
What's the question here?
But I I mean you make jokes, but like that is how big Steam is. That is how big Valve is. They think in the billions. Do you think Dota do you think Dota has billions of revenue? No. No, no, it does
But
not.
what I'm saying is this. If the argument is that Valve doesn't care and Dota makes them no money in comparison to Steam, I feel like
No,
Dota would already be dead.
no. That's the thing though. Like Valve as an entity doesn't care. There are employees at Valve who play Dota and they care about Dota, and they are the ones who keep
I see.
Dota
So you
going.
are not referring to individuals in Valve when you say
Yes.
Valve
No,
is a
no,
blanket statement.
there are individuals in Valve who do care about Dota, but like they can only do so much for Dota, right? Like they're at the end of the day, they're still just like employees, and like, they have to get stuff approved or
But if
whatever.
Valve's only like 20 people and six of
No,
them care
I
about
mean,
Dota,
I mean, I'm pretty sure Valve is around a couple hundred or something. Like it's
I
not,
actually don't know. I'm
not,
not gonna act like I do.
but again, it's just like again, it's like it's the amount of time and effort that goes into it for them. Just like from my understanding, is they would much prefer to put their time and effort into other things because
360. Yeah.
especially when like There was another guy who left Valve like years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, or something like that, and he did like a huge Twitter post, and he literally was like, the way the company structure at Valve works is like, if you make a new feature, you get a huge bonus for that new feature. Like if you create new content or or new feature or new program or something, you get rewarded for that new thing. But if you, like, go back and, like, do a spring cleaning or something in Dota, and you're just, like, maintaining an old game, you don't get recognized for that at all. You get, like, no extra bonus or anything. So all of the employees at Valve, they're all thinking about, "Oh, what's the next new thing I can do? What's, like, the next" right? Like, what is something I can create, not what is something I can maintain, and Dota is something that needs to be maintained.
Yeah, that's true. I just realized that like I mean, at the end of the day, the core problem here is the communication and lack thereof.
No, for
And
sure.
the whole thing is like Valve tells people to come to them, and then when people go to them, I've heard numerous stories that like Valve doesn't do anything. So that's obviously super toxic in a relationship. If you tell somebody if they need something to just tell you, and then if they tell you, you don't listen. That's uh that's about as bad as it gets in terms of relationship toxicity.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean it's super frustrating. Seems like everyone's kind of at their wits' end with this. Valve system isn't ideal for us, but it's obviously working very well for them. They're an incredibly successful company, so it's really hard to argue with results. Um, the point that was really brought up to me today is that they're prioritizing the spectator rather than the professional player when it comes to DPC. And at the end of the day, the professional players aren't the ones that make them money. It's the battle passes and the average player consuming battle passes that make them money. And obviously, for me,
Well,
that's like an obvious short sighting because if you're prioritizing the player over the professional, you're ignoring the fact that there's like a connection between the player and the professional. Like the more professionals there are and the more there's celebrities or whatever there are in Dota, the more people that are going to stick around as players.
yeah.
So it's I think that's kind of what's happened is like what I've noticed as well after it was pointed out to me that constantly everything's been what can make Dota more enjoyable for the average player base. I mean, even my biggest thing is the lack of role queue or any sort of anything that's 7,500 MMR or above. In the last like 3 or 4 years, they instituted role queue as like their biggest feature for like improving the quality of pubs, and then the top MMR people, they just said, nah, it's not going to work. We don't have enough players. They removed it and have given no alternative. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no alternative given in the last like 2 years.
Well, again, it just goes back to like role queue has to get maintained, and it's
Well,
not
I don't
gonna get
think that's
maintained.
where it goes back to. What I'm saying is all the problems that have gotten fixed are by these like whatever, however many employees at Valve are a part of like the passion of Dota or whatever. They're players. They're not pros. So whenever they think to fix the game, they think of a way that like they understand. So I'm saying if you couple the fact that they don't talk to pros or orgs at all, like they don't talk to us. I mean, I'm not an org or whatever. They don't talk. That if they're going to try to solve issues, none of them are going to be geared towards pros. They're all going to be geared towards the community. And if you actually look back at the last 3 or 4 years, they've done a decent amount to improve matchmaking and stuff for the average player. They've
Oh
actually
no, for
done a they've
sure.
actually done a pretty good amount.
Dude, Brian, I have queued 8 hours before for a single game of Dota. I no longer have to do that. I would say matchmaking is in like a pretty decent place. Although I will say, Quinn has told me that he has had a queue for over an hour multiple times.
I mean,
Now that
Quinn's obviously an extreme outlier because he's like 12k MMR.
yeah. I'm just saying that was my equivalent MMR when I queued for 8 hours was like I was like rank 4 or something. So
Yeah.
I wasn't like that far behind what the number one MMR was at the time. So I suppose similar issues still exist at like the top of the top in NA because there's just not enough players to get Quinn in games on his 12K account.
True. Very true. I mean, I've pretty much said all I need to say. I think nobody likes what Valve's doing. Obviously everyone's upset. I think the future of this game is entirely in Valve's hands. I would give the game 5 to 10 years max if Valve continues the way they do. I don't see a reason why they won't. Um, I got fed up at TI. You know,
Mhm.
I told people getting back from TI that this TI was like definitely way worse than all the other ones, not just because of COVID, a lot of other reasons. And I had kind of lost the remaining faith that I had that like Valve was gonna do more.
Yeah.
I
No,
lost
no,
all like any amount of faith that I had left, I had lost. So the big
dude.
reason why I stopped casting, or at least like took a big step back from casting, is because it is a career that is dictated by Valve, right?
Yeah.
Like if they don't keep the competitive scene alive, it will kill my career. And a lot of people may argue as a streamer that does the same thing, but not really. It's not
No,
nearly the
no.
same to stream a
y-
game as it is to be involved
Yeah,
in
if
the
you have a
competitive
base
scene.
following, you can get into variety streaming like really easily. I mean, even for me, I'm like half your size or like a third your size or the size of your stream, and like even I get like 400 viewers when I do variety games, or like 500 sometimes. Like,
I mean, the fact is you can rebuild from there, right? That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly.
And it's not ideal. It's not like it's super exciting to be like, I'm done,
No,
But
dude, I I mean, Brian, literally think Dota could be like such a big game that lasts like
it could
years
be.
upon years, like decades, genuinely, and it could be it could become like a staple of like esports, because like I do think there is a future of for esports in general in our world. Like I think don't get me wrong, like regular sports are amazing and I enjoy watching them, but esports is like pretty much accessible to like anyone who is willing to put in the time to like actually get good at it, right? Like, sure, you can argue some people have better reaction time than others and whatnot, but or like just innately, but for the most part, if you train in a video game you enjoy, like you can get better at that video game as long as like you have the right mindset and mentality and whatnot. Which you may also argue 90% of the people just don't have the right mentality, but yeah, I'm saying there's it's a possibility, right? With regular sports, it's like I feel like you kind of always have to be physically fit, right? Like to an extent to be able to actually, try to get to the level that you would have to compete in or at the top or whatever in regular sports. But at least for esports, I feel like there's a lot more. It's just like you got to put in the time and effort, right? Like you just have to. Like, anyways, but to go back to what you were saying at TI-10, how that was kind of like your final straw. I mean, dude, my final straw was in like the fall of 2020. Yeah, I still remember that it was around TI time, like when TI was like supposed to be happening, so it was like August, mid-August or something. And there was still like like all of our communication was just TI was canceled from Valve. That was it. That's all we got. After I was playing online tournaments with the Zoomers for like 6 months, literally reruns of the same top three teams. We were only playing against Quincy and Undyne. There was like one tournament ED participated in, and we beat them in two best of threes because they were playing with like two stand-ins. I think they had Ryoya and Bulba or something instead of Crit. Or no, Crit was playing, so instead of Abed and was it Ice Ice? I don't know, whatever their 2020 roster was. It was a bet, and maybe Ramses, maybe it was Ramses was supposed to be the offlaner, but because of COVID, he was back in Russia or something. But, I just remember all of our communication from Valve was just TI's canceled, no DPC system, that's it. No plan, no anything. Just we will continue to evaluate the situation and stuff. And like that's all we get from Valve. And I just remember I just like sat on my bed sitting there just like defeated for like 20 minutes, and then I just started crying cuz I just came to the realization that Valve just genuinely did not care about the pro scene at all, like at all.
That's the
And it was
thing, is
the
I
most,
think they care way more about the game than they actually care about the scene.
yeah, and I literally was just sitting there crying because I was just like, well, like, what do you even do? You can't do anything. What,
You
like, go
are
on Twitter,
powerless, yeah.
go on Twitter and complain? No, that's not gonna do anything. That one, see that? Maybe by like some miracle Reddit will like see the complaint, but like, still, what's that gonna do? Get another front page of Reddit complaining about Valve? That doesn't really do that much. Sometimes it does, sometimes, but especially regarding the pro scene, it's just like that has always gotten ignored. And then Valve's like, Valve always like makes it seem like they're gonna talk to the teams or something. Like right now, they're acting like there's gonna be communication and like all
It'll
this
last
stuff.
about a week.
I guarantee you, by the next major, all this shit would just like they won't even be thinking about it. They're like, wait, what? They complained about communication in January? What? What? We're doing great. We're hosting a major. Like what? Like I don't know. I just I've just gotten to the point where I've just accepted it for what it is. Right? There's no use in. I don't know. Maybe I'm a defeatist, but I just feel like it's a hopeless uphill battle at this point. And as you said, the game will just die if or at least the competitive scene will die if the game just goes on like this.
Yeah. I I mean, as a content creator, I feel like a lot of people are preparing for that. They're I personally am like realizing that Dota does mean a lot to me, but I'm tired of only trying to learn skills that help me better at Dota, so I'm trying to learn real life skills that also make me better at Dota.
Hmm.
Such as like habit forming and discipline and stuff like that. I find it much more entertaining or like challenging for me. More rewarding, I guess, more like meaningful than just like learning a new hero. I've kind of like stopped trying to learn new things in Dota specifically, and I've tried to learn new things that can help me in Dota, like I said. So, because like I struggle to find the significance of grinding to like 11k MMR in Dota. I feel like as a streamer, that's obviously pretty tough, and not saying I would be able to do it if I really tried or whatever. But it's like, okay, what's gonna benefit me if I grind in Dota?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have that question where like, if I were to make it to 12k MMR, would it be too late?
Hmm.
By like the time I do this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are getting to that point where it's like you're losing the motivated people who want to try to be the new Sumail. That's been slowly happening over the course of like 10 years, and here we are, to the point where a lot of the like I think that major cancellation and the lack of communication was kind of the final straw for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Valve now has to do even more to make up for it, and it's hard to believe that they'll do more to make up for having done less than expected. Um, that's kind of hard to believe. So, a little bit of doom and gloom, but I would like to change the subject because I think we've both. Go
Wait.
ahead.
I had one last point to make on
Okay.
it because there is like while I do think a lot of the blame does lie in Valve, the other thing I do want to mention is like I think there's been two different instances where Valve has like tried to have communication with like the player, like the top players and what I think PPD he tried to do kind of like a player union type thing at one point. Um, but from my understanding is also the players in Dota that like they can't agree on what the best way to move forward would be for the competitive scene either. So like so while like it feels like Valve ignores like the scene a lot. I feel like the players have to kind of like have an understanding of what it is that we as players want, like as a collective unit, and be more direct about that. And I don't even know if that's possible because like maybe everyone just has such different. I mean I haven't really talked to like the top players about this subject very much or anything, right? Like I I mostly just hear stuff like this through the grapevine. But like first and foremost, if we want like more reactions out of Valve, like the competitive scene has to have an understanding of what it is we actually want and like come to in agreement on that, where there's not just going to be like half of the teams and players are going to be incredibly upset, but the other half are happy. But then, like the half that are upset, they're just going to keep bitching to Valve like nonstop and whatnot. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, there has to also be
You're
clarity from
basically
our
just
end.
saying there has to be a united front, otherwise there's
Yeah,
no way to
yes,
like change
exactly.
anything.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
because
if you're coming at Valve from all sides, it's not going to do
yeah,
anything. That's pretty
exactly,
much what you're saying, right? And I
exactly.
agree that. I mean, every waking year and month that passes in the world, I lose faith that people are ever going to band together in some meaningful way to make
Yeah.
change. So,
Exactly.
that's
I,
a
I I'm just saying though, I can't put it all on Valve, right? I feel like if like the top players and whatnot, like true, like if they actually like cared that much about it, like there could be more effort from our side as well. I mean, again, it would be a moot point anyways, because I would just probably ignore whatever conclusions we came to. But again, like there hasn't really been that attempt, right? That like serious attempt or anything like that. And as you said, probably will never happen. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I can't 100% blame Valve because I feel like the competitive players as well just struggle a bit to actually have ideas about what it is we genuinely want. You know?
yeah. So Kyle, monkeys. I need to. We're gonna shift the subject to make sure we have a little bit of time to talk about the spicy stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm logging into Twitter right now, and we have a little bit of juicy juice between Kyle and Alliance. So I want
Yes.
to give a little bit of history that I'm not 100% sure people have. Okay.
Yeah.
So Kyle and Loda/Kelly, who are I believe they're married. They're at least a couple. I think they're married.
I'm pretty sure
Are
they are.
the managers of Alliance. And Kyle and them have had ongoing beef.
More than they're
And
co-owners.
yeah, managers, co-owners. They're very high up, if not the highest up at Alliance. So like they're
Yeah.
pretty important at that organization, Loda and Kelly. And they've had ongoing beef since, as far as I saw, was the first season of DPC last year. We were all in Sweden, and I saw this happening. So what happened was Kyle rated. We all did our like pre-season predictions for DPC, and Kyle, I guess, was friends with them, and he rated Alliance like 7th out of 8 pre-season going into season 1.
Uh-huh.
And they took that incredibly offensively from like a friend that you would do this. I don't remember exact details from this, but it led to drama between them, back and forth in the DMs, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say anything I don't remember for verbatim. And then what happened was Alliance, a week later or so, sent a box of merchandise for Alliance to our casting place. Okay? Have you heard this? Have I told you this?
I have not heard
No,
that.
no. I actually don't know if this is public information, but I don't see how this could ever get me in trouble, so I don't really care. So they sent us a bag of like hoodies and t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. That was Alliance apparel, a hat, maybe. And we get this box. And in the box, there is a note saying, like, from us to you guys. So they called out the casters as a whole. I don't know if you remember that drama. So they were like apologizing to the casters as a whole, saying like, we don't want beef. We have no
Oh,
issue
okay.
with you guys, that kind of thing. This was
Yeah.
like an apology package. And they sent us this package. And in the note, it said all that. And then at the bottom, it said, none of it's for Kyle. Kyle does not get any of this. And I thought it was one of the funniest things I have ever read. So they did that, and then I mean, there was actually beef between them. You know, it was actually serious beef. I knew it at the time, and I remember a week later, Kelly messaged Kyle saying, "Sorry, that note in the message was a joke. Like that note
In
in
the
the
box,
package
yeah.
was a joke," and like all of us knew that it wasn't a joke. Okay, like it obviously wasn't a joke. Okay, so I can just tell you that there is history between Kyle and these two. Okay,
Yeah.
so that kind of continued into season 2, I believe, because Kyle did one of his like pre-game assessments, and he used like all the reasons he thought Alliance would get last place or something, and that's what he did it on. So you know Kyle, he's a stirrer, so he's gonna do anything he can to stroke the fire or stoke the
Yeah.
fire or whatever it's called.
Ooh.
Stroke that fire, baby. So now we've gotten to this season. All the people that followed me here, we've gotten to this season, and I know for a fact that Kyle has beef with Alliance. Like he doesn't like Alliance. Yada yada yada. And Alliance is celebrating after beating Liquid in Game 2. And his tweet was, "Watching the post game cams, I thought Alliance had just 2-0'd Liquid and was like, and then I realized they were celebrating a 1-1 score. Much love, guys, but save the hugs for the real W." So I believe I'm trying to find it. I don't believe there was a reply from Nico Baby. There was a good quote in
There
there.
was
I really want to find it actually.
something about being a
It's
superstar.
something about you are the reason that we're not superstars.
All
Let
right,
me.
something about not being a superstar. Sorry.
Oh, here it is. Nico Baby replied, "We've struggled this season. We've had changes, and we fought hard for this. And you? Spitting in Twitter, always bitter for your own failure as a player. Who are you? You are the reason I don't open Twitter, and the reason people don't see us as superstars yet. Congratulations." And then Kelly responded, Kelly from Alliance says, "And people wonder why Dota 2 players stopped using social media. Kyle is a bitter and has been for years. Big bully whom I hope one day gets what he deserves. Nothing. You, Kyle. I hope you never get happiness in life. Middle finger poopy emoji." So I think this is some spicy drama because every single person that contributes to it makes themselves look like more of an idiot.
I mean,
I'm just saying, I think Kyle's comment made him look like a happiness gatekeeper and an
it's
idiot.
dude,
Nico
it's not.
Baby's comment of "people don't see us as a superstar" kind of makes you look like an idiot. Calling somebody that kind of language and like a personal attack through Twitter kind of makes you look like an idiot.
It doesn't just kind of. I mean, it just does. Like,
So I find this to be incredibly entertaining. It actually resulted in Mira also saying, "Effie, that Kyle may be super annoying online, but when it comes to his integrity, I will 100% vouch for him. He puts his foot in his mouth often, but he's not a malicious person. Make fun of him, the dumb things he says, but the attacks I've been reading on his character are cruel and unwarranted." So there's people like Mira who are very wholesome and they're trying to defend their friends and everything. And I totally respect that. There's people like that we need in the world. But monkeys, I'm gonna before I let you have the floor, I'm just gonna say I'm the kind of person that reads this and I think it's hilarious. And I think we're literally
are,
watching a reality television show of
are
people we
you
know.
saying read all of it, or just like any of the comments in specific, or?
I'm saying that like you can there's a lot of back and forth between Kyle
Yeah,
and Kelly and There were a few deleted tweets by Kelly. I know that were also mean. And
Those
those
ones,
can be found.
those definitely went over the top, like
Those were
without a doubt.
spicy. Those were spicy.
Those were like
I don't.
old school Kelly flame or like Kelly defending flames of Alliance. Like
I'm not
after
sure, like if there's access to those. I don't know where they are. I saw them, but I don't know
I,
where
I,
I.
somebody screenshotted them. I promise you, I have no idea where they would be, but they are definitely
Yeah,
screenshot.
I'm looking for it. There's some funny stuff on there. Some very we'll say rude comments from Kelly.
I mean, the way I think you just have to look at Kyle in this scene is like every single thing he says, you just have to take it like tongue in cheek. Like that is literally just how Kyle as a personality exists. Like he literally all he wants to just poke the bear until the bear explodes. And like just
He
constantly.
loves
That
it.
that's all and he is so unfazed by like all this. Like he doesn't give a he's just vibing, drinking alcohol like this weekend, he's probably partying his or something. He doesn't give a shit.
Cares about what his friends think. He cares
Yeah,
about like people he calls
yeah,
friends,
yeah,
and he says like,
yeah.
"Hey guys, you know, hey guys." Collie just said something to me. Sorry. He has.
Yeah.
He does care about what his friends think. I am getting a
Yes.
bit personal. It's not my place to say it. Kyle does care about that, but he probably doesn't care very much about the general Twitter public and the general Dota
No,
community and
he
their
doesn't. I
impressions on
mean,
him. He doesn't care about that kind of shit.
I mean,
So
I like don't get me wrong, I can understand people's like frustrations with Kyle. Like I played on Complexity with him back in like 2016 and it was a stressful experience. It was a stressful experience having Kyle as my captain. But, at the same time, I do think like as a person, he has grown a ton over the past like 6 years or whatever it's been. And it's also crazy that it's been 6 years since 2016, but
yeah,
but, I do think he's grown a lot, I whenever I talk to Kyle, I genuinely just have a blast talking to him now, like, he's just a fun guy to be around for the most part, and,
he definitely brings
like
life to the room. He definitely
yeah,
brings life to the room.
and like, his like, I guarantee you Kyle knows his Twitter takes are stupid the majority of the
He
time, but
does.
he still just hits that enter button because he's just like, if he makes himself laugh, he's like, "I'll definitely make some other people laugh." So he just hits that enter button and rides the wave.
He does indeed
So
do that.
it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I have been roasted countless times on social media for poor performances at LANs or tournaments or whatever, and it's just like, it's just a part of the f***ing job, Nico baby. It just who the cares what anyone else says? If you wanna be happy, be happy. People are gonna judge you no matter what you f***ing do. You're in the public spotlight. There's just I don't know. You have to just be able to take it in stride. You have to. Otherwise, you're just gonna I don't know. You're not really gonna go anywhere if you can't take, like, any criticism whatsoever.
I agree. It's very if you're the fact is the more in the spotlight you are, the more criticism you're going to be
Yeah, no,
exposed to,
do you
regardless
think,
of
like,
success.
Sumail as a 15-year-old won TI? Like, I guarantee you over the last how long has it been since TI 5? Like, 7 years now? Or, like, we're going on 7 years? TI like, Sumail has probably gotten so much hate over the last 7 years after that TI win. Like, an insane amount of hate. But, do you ever see Sumail, like, crying about it on Twitter? And he's like, "No, I want a TI. I'm the fucking GOAT." Literally half of Sumail's tweets are just him calling himself the GOAT. That's all he does.
You kind of got to do that sometimes, especially when you are really good.
Yeah.
I can't use that one yet. I'll worry about that when I'll worry about that when I have some, you know, material to back it up. And we talk about a lot of people getting flack, and I would like to also read a recent Reddit thread that involves me as we go on this Reddit drama train. The Reddit thread is titled "BSJ is an incredibly disrespectful coach."
This
Today
one,
is just another example of BSJ belittling people who pay him hard-earned money for coaching. Poor guy is not understanding a concept or question, and BSJ just repeats himself over and over being a smartass. It honestly feels like he is mocking, bullying these people a lot of the time. It just comes off as mean and unlikable. BSJ must be pretty insecure if he has to repeatedly comment about how obvious everything is to him and how oblivious the person he is coaching appears to be.
thoughts, Brian?
I paused so you could give your thoughts.
You
Monkeys.
want me to give my thoughts?
Yeah, give your thoughts.
I mean, obviously they're right. That Brian guy fucking sucks. No. I mean that thread genuinely made me laugh so much when I saw it because, like, I'm sure they did not expect that to get to the front page of Reddit first and foremost. I feel like the only reason it
I
got
saw
there,
the thread when it had like 50 upvotes and 50 comments, and I definitely thought it was going to die around there. I actually definitely thought it was.
I feel like the only reason it got to the front page is because it's just too funny. Like for it to be there, right? Because it's like your coaching students pay you to coach them the way you coach. It's like even if you were as abrasive as they're describing you, people are paying you for that experience. like, like, why is this a Reddit thread?
I do, so I took a little bit of responsibility for the fact that I knew yesterday I did say a few, like, I think the biggest thing that makes me look like this to people is when I ask questions that have obvious answers. It makes me look like a smart ass. And I'm like fully aware of that. I've been trying to like stop doing that. So I know like that's a large reason why it comes off that way. And I knew I did that yesterday. So it was really funny because during the coaching session, I like caught myself and I'm like, yeah, man, I knew I was doing that. And then obviously I see a Reddit thread on it now, which I think is really funny because, you talk about like somebody like Nico Baby getting for losing in a pro match. I would say me like failing as a coach, or not failing, but like falling off form, I guess you could say, as a coach for like one coaching session would be my equivalent of that. And then you see it on Reddit like this. And I think it's like really funny because, people pick up on this shit, and I think it's entertaining that they, will tune in and see that. I see this thread and the first thought I have is like, I definitely have worked on all these things. Whether or not I do them at all or a lot is up to the individual, I think, in terms of judgment call. But a lot of the thread comments were the negative ones were saying things like he lacks self-awareness, he doesn't know any of this stuff, he has a superiority complex, all that kind of stuff. But I think the ones that were like the reigning true positive ones, which I agree with you, is it's like the funniest part about this entire thread is the first line where he says BSJ belittling people who pay him hard-earned money for coaching. And then referring to them as poor guy, and that I'm mocking and bullying them. And it's like, I literally stream every single coaching session that I've done in the last like 6 years.
I've watched some of them. Like,
yeah, it's not exactly some secret. I can understand a lot of what they're saying in terms of me coming off as a smart. But I really struggle to understand people like this that say,
I mean that's why I find like I've seen people in chat ask why I'm laughing so much at it. I just find it so funny. Like for this Reddit thread, for example, this person wasn't even the one who got coached. He saw one of your students get coached and went, "I'm gonna take this to Reddit." Like, Reddit needs to hear about that. Like, they have not seen BSJ do a coaching session in like the last 6 years. They need to know that BSJ was kind of mean to his student in this coaching set, which again I didn't even see it. I don't even know if I doubt it because I've watched your coaching set. Maybe like you admitted to like one moment of you being like kind of a dick or whatever, but it's like okay, it happens. Like you, you can't like always be 100% on like your word choice or how you do an explanation or something like that, right? Like
Yeah,
you're
I mean that's the thing is they're definitely like grilling into it, and they're definitely like going off of their first impressions or prior biases, whatever it is. I mean, the
yeah
biggest thing for me is that whenever I read online things like this, is like just like when Kyle gets scrutiny, he probably fucked up. You know, if I have a whole Reddit thread, I probably did something wrong. You know,
mhm,
it's like Nico Baby's getting flack. He lost a game. You know, it can be all types of things. And I've learned that it's really fun, not fun, but it's really important as like a person that's in some sort of spotlight or in the public eye to understand that most people are they're attacking you in regards to like something you did, but they're not attacking your character most of the time. They're usually attacking the action that you had, and they're judging you based on that action. And I know a lot of people say like that was a character attack, and then like people like Kelly may have taken it too far with Kyle because they literally attacked his character. But most
mhm.
people, when they voice it on Reddit and stuff, they're just saying like that action you did was like really stupid. And you kind of have to detach yourself from that and be like, okay, you know, they see this action as me, when obviously that individual action does not represent me like as a whole.
Yeah.
So like I'm willing to reflect on it and learn from it, while also thinking the guy is kind of an idiot.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's like you know, you should always try to be receptive to criticism of any kind, like even if it's kind of just like a reach or whatever, like from the person criticizing you. But um, it's just like that's the type of criticism that you have to take tongue in cheek. You look at it, you laugh it off, and then you kind of go like, all right, sure, maybe there is like some slight like maybe if that was literally your first time ever interacting with me, maybe I just came off like abrasive or whatever, and that just made you not want to watch me anymore or whatever. Like maybe that was just their first reaction to seeing you do a coaching set. Like again, it's whatever. Like but I mean, again, at the same time, we've talked about it before as streamers. It's just, like you can't get hung up on every single word that every single person says about you, right? Because like you're never gonna please everyone. You're never gonna make everyone happy. Like some people are just not gonna like your streamer persona or just like they're not gonna like your humor. They're not gonna like your whatever. There's so many things that people can find to like nitpick about entertainers, right? Like there's so many things because I mean we're on camera or all the time, right? We're broadcasting all the time. Like I guarantee you, if anyone who's like watching the stream right now watch their favorite streamer for long enough, they could find things that they disliked about that streamer or find like nuances that annoyed them or random like that. Like I promise you would be able to find.
Yeah, I mean everybody has something, right? Eventually,
Yeah.
a long enough period of time of exposure. You know, monkeys. It's been a lot to talk about this week. Um, usually I try to cut us off at like 45 minutes. I suddenly look at the clock and it's been an hour. So, it is what it is. We've talked our ears off, or the viewers' ears off, with all the drama and the Valve stuff. If you guys missed the podcast, what we did talk about was the Valve major cancellation and then some Reddit drama with my coaching session, as well as Kyle and the owners of Alliance. It's a pretty entertaining week. A lot of little things going on that kept the scene spicy. Still no patch. GG, want patch.
I would
Do you have
love a
any,
pad.
any closing remarks from my boy Jaron Clinton?
Um, Valve, please care about your competitive players. That would be nice. Appreciate it.
And that is the call that echoed through the canyon, and everybody heard you, monkeys. And it's going to be the life universe changing moment right there, guys. So thanks for tuning in, guys. That is it for us this week. We're perfectly on time. We do this every Thursday. Not really. We try to do it every Monday. But yeah, it's all on my second YouTube, exclamation point, YouTube 2. If you guys want to find all the other podcast episodes, hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Have a great night. See you guys. Bye, monkeys.
Bye bye. Have a good one.